Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Hare.
Anybody else would like to announce their name? Just a minute.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Madharan Pranam to you and all the devotees on the call. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devi Dasi from Orlando, Florida.
Hare Krishna, Rupini Padma Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Shri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Nikunj Rasada from Jarmatam.
Hare Krishna, Nikunj Prabhu, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Jayashree Prabhupada, Jai Guru Maharaj. This is Manira Das from Reading Pichli.
Hare Krishna, Manidhar Prabhu, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining. Hare Krishna. So we are so fortunate. Our speaker, Her Grace Jayashree Mataji from New Vrindaban is here. So Hare Krishna, Jayashree Mataji, Danvat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. So welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. Glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga.
Hare Krishna. So we are so fortunate to have Her Grace Jayashree Mataji from New Vrindaban, and Mataji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 4th chapter, 26th verse and onwards. So Hare Krishna Mataji, please take over the call now.
Okay. What a wonderful way to wake up in the morning.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Jai Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopi Janna Bala Girivaradari Gopi Janna Saranandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Panachali Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Joy Haribo 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 Nitai Joy Haribo Nitai Joy Haribo 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 Nitai Joy Haribo Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Could everyone please mute? I keep hearing people chanting, people talking. Please mute. Thank you. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Statira Such is Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajakacharya Statira Such is Divine Grace. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Kurta Vaishnava Niki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sri Kahosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Niki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 26. Shamarasika.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sa ittam bhakti yogena tapo yuktena parthivaha swadharmena harim prinam sarvan kaman jay hajoho. Oh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sahi Ambarish Maharaj. Itam, in this way, Bhakti Yogena, by performing transcendental loving service to the Lord. Tapa Yuktena, which is simultaneously the best process of austerity. Partavha, the king, Sva, Dharmena, by his constitutional activities. Harim, unto the Supreme Lord. Prinanam, satisfies. Sarva, all varieties. Come on. Material desires. Sahai. Gradually, Yahoo gave up. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The king of this planet, Maharaj Ambarish, thus performed devotional service to the Lord, and in this endeavor practiced severe austerities, always satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his constitutional activities. He gradually gave up all material desires. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Severe austerities in the practice of devotional service are of many varieties. For example, in worshiping the deity in the temple, there are certainly laborious activities. Sri Vigraharana Dana Nityananda Shringaratan Mandir Marjanado. One must decorate the deity, cleanse the temple, bring water from the Ganges and Jamuna, continue the routine work, perform arti many times, prepare first-class food for the deity, prepare dresses, and so on. In this way, one must constantly be engaged in various activities, and the hard labor involved is certainly an austerity. Similarly, the hard labor involved in preaching, preparing literature, preaching to atheistic men, and distributing literature door to door is, of course, an austerity. Tapayogtena. Tapo divyam putrak. Such austerity is necessary. Yena sattva siddhyat. By such austerity and devotional service, one is purified of material existence. Kam saner yatho. Indeed, such austerity leads one to the constitutional position of devotional service. In this way, one can give up material desires, and as soon as one is free from material desires, he is free from the repetition of birth and death, old age and disease. Om Agana Timridandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshur Nilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. We are all born in the darkness of ignorance, but our spiritual masters kindly opening our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So we offer our most humble and respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. So we see this verse is talking about the austerity, the king of the planet, Maharaj Ambarish. And the austerity he performed was devotional service to the Lord. But we hear that devotional service to the Lord is all blissful. All the great souls are in ecstasy performing this devotional service. But here it says that it's a severe austerity. Why is that? That is because we are not in the position of these great souls. We are not pure devotees of the Lord. We are very new, neophyte devotees, most of us. Maybe some of us are pure devotees, but most of us are not. So for us to crawl our way out of this most difficult position of material conditioning and contamination is a severe austerity, right? We've somehow or other gotten ourselves into a position where we are in total ignorance as to who we are. We are forced by the modes of material nature to, at some point, not even known to us at what point, we will have to leave everything we know, our body, our identity, our so-called family, our so-called wealth, everything. This is our position, and we have no idea who we are or where we're going. This is our position. We are not the pure devotee who's free from all material contamination and has great love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Our position is much more difficult. So we're given an opportunity. Srila Prabhupada has come, magnanimously come. When he didn't have to, he was fine in Vrindavan, living at the Radha Damodar temple, totally absorbed in his Krishna consciousness. But he had a order by a spiritual master, and he chose to follow that order, to very painstakingly come to the West and preach to those who were just totally absorbed in the darkness of ignorance. Right? This was Srila Prabhupada's kindness and Lord Chaitanya's mission. We hear that this personality was written about before, that he would come and liberate the world, basically, coming to the land of the Malechas and Yavanas, right? What is America? What a terribly degraded place, terribly degraded. When our eyes are open just a little bit, we see the degradation around us. Wholesale animal killing, cruelly done for the satisfaction of the tongue. Intoxication everywhere you turn. Really, it's just, there's intoxication, whether it be cigarettes, drugs, alcohol. Of course, coffee and tea are there without question. And then illicit sex life is in every point of communication in this place, in this Kali Yuga in the West. Right, so Srila Prabhupada gave up his very quiet, peaceful life in Vrindavan, where he woke up to the peacocks. This was, I mean, now Vrindavan is, wow, really a congested, quasi-material place. Although it's not, it's got certainly a heavy atmosphere now. But when Prabhupada was there, you could walk the streets, you could go on the dirt parikram path. The cows were there, the peacocks were lowing, people were going temple to temple, observing Janmashtami in a civil way. Right? Prabhupada had no need to leave and come to New York City. New York City, wow, what a place to go from Vrindaban. And he, you know, had never seen snow, is subjected to snow and so many things. So, what did he present? Right? He took the time to have literature that could be understood by people in the West. That was his first challenge. Taking the Srimad Bhagavatam from Sanskrit into English, and then finding a way to get it printed, and then finding a way to bring it to the West. I mean, for Srila Prabhupada, it wasn't like, oh, what an austerity, I've got to do this. This was his mission, this was his life. And someone in his caliber relishes the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Prabhupada was doing his service for our benefit. And then what did he do? He created ISKCON. And what is ISKCON? ISKCON is the ideal place to perform this austerity, right? It says, indeed, such austerity leads one to the constitutional position of devotional service. In this way, one can give up material desires. And as soon as one is free from material desires, he is free from the repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. Srila Prabhupada didn't come to the West to just feed people or give them a repair job for their disease-filled bodies. Although that is something that is needed and wonderful, and what would we do without those things? But he came to cure the diseased soul. That is just such a great vision, right? Where do we hear anybody? Oh, I give in charity, I give to the food bank. Oh, I give in charity, I give my old clothes to the Goodwill. This is the standard of charity in the West. I know from my own experience. I've been in the West like 78 years now, and I've lived amongst materialistic people for a good portion. I mean, I still live amongst materialistic people. I'm surrounded by materialism, and still it claws in my heart. But the idea of charity that we hear in the Bhagavad Gita about different modes of nature, different modes of charity. But when people, the only charity they know is giving something that's been used to the goodwill, we know that their consciousness is just not very clear. But what did Srila Prabhupada do? Prabhupada came to the West to give in charity a whole new life to the conditioned soul. Jeev Jago, wake up, sleeping souls. Srila Prabhupada, that was what he came to do. What higher charity can anyone do? Right? Birth after birth, taking birth after birth because of our holding on to material life, our material desires. All right, so as we go on in this chapter, we need to understand the process of renunciation, the practical examples before our eyes. Srila Prabhupada's example, the Goswami's example, Lord Jesus' example, Lord Buddha's example, Lord Chaitanya's example, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in our more present day and age. But of course, Srila Prabhupada is our very down-home example, right? All of these great teachers we have as examples of renunciation, of material detachment. We are attached. All of us, we're very materially attached. That's our disease. And we hear about dovetailing. Okay, dovetailing is a beginning, right? But we want to make sure that we understand that just dovetailing is not the end all. We're attached to material things, right? So what is dovetailing means that we take something, okay, we go out and we spend $100 on a fancy sari with jari on it so I can wear it to Janmashtami. Okay, that's a nice thought. That is dovetailing, and that is good. Nothing bad. But is that renunciation? Is that what we're hearing? Is that the example? Right? Do we see anywhere? The six Goswamis went into Vrindavan town and bought themselves fancy dhotis and kurtas with jari on it so that they could worship Lord Krishna on Janmashtami. Did we see that with Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta? No, because our dovetailing is a beginning step. It's like our baby step towards renunciation, right? Dovetailing our food. I'm going to make samosas and kachoris and palak paneer for Krishna tonight. Yay. Okay, well, are you making it for Krishna? Are you making it for you because you want something wonderful and you're going to offer it to Krishna? That's wonderful. Nothing at all wrong. But is that what we see in the examples of the great souls? No. Right? We see that they ate a pat of butter or a little buttermilk, or in Prabhupada's very practical example, he ate very simply. He could have had anything he wanted. When he had disciples, he could have had samosas and kachoris and whatever every day, 3 times a day. If he would have asked for it, he would have been given it. But is that what he ate? No, he ate simple foods to sustain his body, and he was very regulated. And he didn't eat with everyone talking, laughing. Prabhupada ate by himself. He meditated on his prasadam. And Ayurvedically, it is the way to eat. Prabhupada, I mean, to me, because I've looked into Ayurveda quite a bit the last few years, Prabhupada lived very Ayurvedically. He had an oil massage every day, right? Abhyanga. He had a very regulated eating habits. He ate alone. He ate simple, very digestible food. He ate spices that were freshly pounded. And when he had an opportunity, ate oil that was freshly ground, all fresh. When do we hear Prabhupada was eating leftovers? Never. Prabhupada was eating all frozen and canned food? Never. Right? Prabhupada's example was very amazing, actually. So we want to get beyond the position of dovetailing our sense gratification into Krishna's service to a higher consciousness, which actually frees us from the repetition of birth and death. It's not easy, and it's a gradual process, but we want to keep the goal in mind, right? We don't want to think, oh, I'm doing pure devotional service because all my sense gratification is dovetailed in Krishna's service. It's really, we want to keep the example and the teachings of the great souls in the forefront. Otherwise, we may mistakenly think we have reached that platform, and then we have a problem, for sure. So, is it easy to become detached? No. Right? Prabhupada said, he commented that his spiritual master would come to him in dreams and tell him to take sannyas. And Prabhupada's comment was, I thought it was very horrible. He said, I thought it was horrible. He was telling me to take sannyas. Right? So if someone said to us, okay, take sannyas, if our guru turned to us and said, I want you to take sannyas, would we think, wow, I'm so fortunate I get to take sannyas? Or would we go, oh my God, you mean leave my family, leave my children, give up my fancy clothes, travel and preach, have no fixed residence? Horrible. Not for me. I want to fix up my house. I want to paint it a new color. I want to get new furniture. I'm going to get new clothes. I'm going to go spend time with the kids and the grandkids and da da da, right? We are materially attached. And renunciation is not easy. So in the second verse, the next verse that we're going to read tomorrow, I'm not going to, but I did go there just to pull out a quote. That he gave up all attachment to household affairs, wives, children, friends, relatives. I mean, it seems almost impossible to give up my attachment for my children. Forget it. And my friends that I sit at the temple with and we talk about Krishna, we talk about, things that are happening in the community. But to give that up, how? How do you give up that type of attachment? And Prabhupada says throughout the Bhagavatam, it is the most difficult thing. It seems almost impossible, but here we are. Everyone's at a different age on this call, but we are going towards or are in old age. What does that mean? That means we've been fortunate to make it this far. But we know if no disease or accident takes us earlier, we are going to die. This body is going to stop working at some point. We are going to leave all of this anyway. So it is to our advantage to start cultivating detachment. It's not, when people are in the very beginning stages of devotional service, it's like if someone says, sorry, this is coming from a Christian standpoint because there's a lot of Christian preachers. You're going to hell. They sit on street corners. You're all going to hell. You surrender to Jesus. I mean, what they're saying is true. How they're saying is a little bit rough, but what they're saying is true. The path of attachment and sense gratification, especially what do you say? Just rampant sense gratification that people are following. The cliche when I was young, if it feels good, do it. That was the cliche amongst the young people. In other words, if you want to sleep with your best friend's boyfriend, feels good, do it. You want to take LSD, a drink, do this, do that, feels good, do it. That's the level, right? Horrible. Horrible and degraded. So when you're talking with people that are of that mentality, and you talk about any kind of renunciation, you have to be careful. And what to speak of those that are getting out of material contamination and attachment. It's a gradual process, right? Giving up the family, very difficult. And I have not seen too many people do it. Prabhupada said, sannyas at 50. Very rare do you see any devotees taking sannyas at 50. It's a rarity, but it's a good thing. And understandably, if someone is able to live an actual renounced life as much as possible and stay within the family, it's certainly better than nothing. And if they're able to perform devotional service, it's a good place to be. But actual renunciation, like Prabhupada did, he left his family. He just walked away. Right? Who knows if the wife had been wanting to take part in his mission, who knows what the story would be. Right? Anyway, that's kind of a detail there. So, many or most of us are on the platform of dovetailing, right? That is our place. But we want to keep in mind actual detachment. It's for our benefit. Even if it, like it says in the Bhagavad Gita that the taste for devotional service or renunciation can be very bitter. But for one who's advanced, it's very sweet, right? So we're Prabhupada gives the example of the jaundice. Sugar candy is a cure, right? Who doesn't like sugar cane or sugar candy? Everybody, unless you have a disease called jaundice. Then it's very bitter, right? So here we are in the jaundice condition of life. If we want to make it to pure devotional service and actually love Krishna, then we want to follow the direction that we're given. And in this particular case, it's renunciation. We're hearing about renunciation. So it's like baby steps. We want to make an offering for Krishna. What does Krishna like? Krishna likes green vegetables. Krishna likes dal, rice, halava, puri, pakora, ladu, rasagula, sandesh, sweet rice. That's the story of Govardhan Puja, right? That's the song that they sing for Govardhan Puja, because Krishna likes certain things. So the offering at the temple specifically is supposed to be what Krishna likes. Unfortunately, sometimes the reality is people are put in the position of cooking for the deities, but they're actually cooking for themselves and their family. And that's wrong, right? It's not that we're thinking with our packing container sitting there on the counter what I'm going to cook for Krishna and take to my family. The standard in New Vrindaban used to be, which I wish it was again, that whoever cooked, whoever did the offering, could not take anything from the offering. It only makes sense. There might be a rebellion because it's been let go so long, but if that standard was implemented again, it would make the offering much more devotional. It would make the prasadam much more potent because the consciousness of the cook, right, goes into the food that we're offering. That's why it's important to eat food cooked by devotees. Because we're going out into the world and eating food cooked by who knows who, what their consciousness is, what their cleanliness habits are, right? There's so many contaminations in food that are being produced. I mean, I've heard horrible stories of people spitting in food in restaurants, the cooks or the servers getting mad at somebody and spitting in the food and covering it over. So, anyway, it's just not, it's better to eat food from people with a good consciousness. But higher than that is to cook the food for the Lord, not thinking of our sense gratification. So if the standard of the temple for the deity cooks is they can't take anything from the offering, the consciousness changes. The pujari, right? Unfortunately, it's one of my unhappinesses, and unfortunately, I am someone that speaks my mind sometimes. To me, it bothers me when the pujaris take all the maha and the cook comes and takes half of the maha, because although it is maha, the element of sense gratification is pervading, right? We get 300 people for breakfast. They come hundreds of miles. And some people take so much maha. They're not taking it to honor it. They're taking it because it's good food, good tasting. It's sense gratification. It's on that level of sense gratification. And they think that they deserve it. They are the entitled people. And then our guest gets one little teaspoon of some maha, right? That's good, but it's not really a very high standard of consciousness. And if you mention it to anyone, they get offended, right? Anyway, it's kind of sad, but maybe things will change at some point. Even a temple. I mean, we see with so many temples, old temples, sometimes the families are there just trying to, like Prabhupada says, taking the shalagram shila to break the nuts, or doing it just begrudgingly because it's the family tradition and they have no connection, no love. Nothing is done. The deity's in raggedy clothes and being offered a banana or something. I mean, we hear the stories from some people like Indradumna Swami. ISKCON has taken over a lot of temples, small temples, places of pilgrimage, but we want to make sure that our ISKCON doesn't get degraded like that we're not cooking and offering for the deities so we can enjoy it. It totally takes away from what we're trying to attain, that pure devotional service. And I'm preaching to myself. It's we don't want the disease of sense gratification to override the purity of devotion, because then we're going to take birth again and again, because that's what we want. We want sense gratification. We don't want devotion. We have to check ourselves. We have to be careful and vigilant. So ISKCON was built on austerity. I mean, we hear about it, we laugh about it. Oh, yeah, I'm sure glad I wasn't around then. It was so hard, but it was right. It was austerity in the highest, most wonderful way. When Prabhupada came, ISKCON was a place of very rugged, rigid austerity. Everything was austere. Everyone lived in the ashram. And have any idea, in those days when there was no money and the ashram was a 3-bedroom house and you had 20 people living there? Do you know what that austerity is? That people were sleeping everywhere, right? They were sleeping 10 people in a room. You listen to some of the old devotees talk. Everyone had a sleeping bag. You didn't have a bed, a soft cushiony bed with 400 count cotton sheets. You had a sleeping bag, new or not new, because you had no money. All right, so everyone lived in the ashram. No one had money. No one would consider eating out of the temple prasadam, not even buying a juice. Everyone in LA, when I went there, had like 2 sets of clothes. Right? That was it. And they were just a sari. You didn't have karmic clothes and 5 sets of shoes and 3 winter coats. You were lucky if you had a winter coat, actually. It was amazing, though. The consciousness was so high. You were so connected with your devotional service. Everything was about Krishna. Everything was about Prabhupada, what Prabhupada wanted. There was a big box of shoes. You didn't even have your own shoes. You had a sleeping bag. The Brahmacharini ashram was a big room with a big communal shower with like 3 or 4 heads on it. And there were like 12 women sleeping in there on the ground. This is your little 5 foot spot. This is your little, it was like so different than how we live now. Everything I owned was in a box, like, oh, 20 inches by 20 inches. Everything I owned. We ate off of wax paper. We just depended on Krishna. But I'll tell you honestly, and you hear, I really like listening to Vishaka. She has a book, and my apologies, I can't remember the name of it. 5 years, 3 months, 12 days, something like that. Anyway, it's an audiobook, and I listen to it a lot when I'm driving. But she tells her story. I mean, when she came, she was an atheist, total atheist. And she was, doing well in college with her photography. She had produced a book. One gentleman was trying to sponsor her. She was going to be like the next top photographer. She had something going for her, but she was a total atheist. She married Yadubar. Well, she didn't marry him. She was the girlfriend. He went to do an assignment with ISKCON in India. She went, and she tells the story. How gradually Prabhupada just penetrated her consciousness. And she tells the one story. She was way in the beginning. She went to the Calcutta temple, and she had to spend the night. She had no intention of becoming a devotee or anything. So she goes, and they wake her up at 3 a.m. Kasalya, Jamuna, and I can't remember who the other one was. So she gets woken up, and they leave. There's a sari. Now it wasn't like the ashram we have today. There's all kinds of saris. You go downstairs, there's a gift shop, you have money. Nothing like that. Someone left an old crumpled up, you know what it's like when you take a cotton sari and wash it and then just pile it in a pile? It's a wreck. It's a big crumpled mess. So that's the only sari she could find. She put it on and she went downstairs. Now we're talking about 3 a.m. And she said that she would never do this again. But as she got contaminated, and Prabhupada sometimes uses that term, by Krishna consciousness and Srila Prabhupada, she became, her heart changed. You should listen to this audiobook. It's so well done. right? So austerity, we're talking austerity here. Prabhupada did not build ISKCON on everybody having their own bungalow, and you want to kind of paint it every year, different colors, and get new furniture and all this. This was not Prabhupada's movement back in the day. We're dovetailing now, but that doesn't mean that we are performing austerity, right? It's an austerity to get up and listen to a class. It's an austerity to chant japa. But add to that austerity all these things that were there in the beginning. And there was such a taste. Krishna was everywhere in the day and your consciousness. It was so joyful. Otherwise, how did people do it? It was difficult. And sometimes it was too difficult for people to be able to do. But the example is there, how ISKCON was built. And we want to go in that direction, right? We want to chant more. We want to do more austerity. We want to renounce more. That's what we're being told in the verse. And that's what Prabhupada talks about. It's good for us. It detaches us. And at the time of death, we will be grateful because that would be a greater austerity, the time of death to leave everyone. Anyway, Prabhupada wasn't in favor of anyone working outside in those days, getting their own place, getting their own deities. He wasn't like against it, but he definitely wasn't in favor of it. His idea, I mean, Prabhupada's the acharya, the teacher. We glorify him, we offer flowers, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. But Prabhupada, what he wanted was not so much something we would be in favor of. An ideal householder was someone who lived in the temple separate from their wife and just served Krishna. This is the ideal householder. And he talks about it in many places. At a certain age, some people become renounced and they travel, they go to holy places, they give up things, right? That's the direction we want to go in. That's the direction Prabhupada gave us. You see on the webcams, right? We're watching Mangalartik in LA, we're watching it in New Vrindavan, we're watching it in so many places. Alachua, how many people are at Mangalartik? 10? 15? If you are here in the winter in New Vrindavan, see right now, if you watch Mangalartik in New Vrindavan, there's 50 people, 30 people. How many of them are devotees that live in the community? 10? How many are guests? The rest, right? The guests are coming to be able to come to Mangalartik. The temples are very quiet during Mangalartik. That's one of our main activities of renunciation, of austerity. These are the things we need to absorb and take part in. We don't want to cheat ourselves. Oh, I'm austere. I go to this Sunday feast and I eat all the sweet rice and kachoris and I'm doing so good. Okay, it is something. Is that the renunciation shown by Srila Prabhupada, taught by Srila Prabhupada, taught by any of the examples? No. The example is getting up early in the morning, chanting our rounds, going to the temple. You know, I mean, you hear the story of Yamuna and Dinatarni. They kept a temple standard in their house with their deities. They observed festivals. You know, we want to be real in our own Krishna consciousness. We don't want to cheat ourselves out of what we're actually looking for and then wonder why it hasn't happened. Why aren't I a pure devotee? I've been living, going to the Sunday feast every year for 20 years. We need to be realistic in our devotional service. We don't want to water down ISKCON. Definitely don't want to water down ISKCON. That would be a very sad situation, because with watering down ISKCON and the principles of ISKCON and the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, we will lose our footing in devotional service, and the world will lose a great beacon, right? We see what happened with Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's movement. Some of the leaders became extremely materialistic, and his whole movement became so much lessened than it was and would have been. We don't want our ISKCON to be watered down, right? One example, which is, I'm not picking on anyone, I'm just have observed. Our young people, instead of shaving up or keeping a sika, are keeping beards and mustaches. All right. Unfortunately, sometimes, and this is New Vrindavan, and I do complain about it, every picture on our disciplic succession has a beard. Those pictures and drawings have been done obviously during Chaturmasya. And I have not been heard, but I have requested them to put pictures of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, on the disciplic succession without beards. It's not our standard. Maybe for Chaturmasya, but it is not our standard. Prabhupada wanted, where do we see the Goswamis with beards? Where do we see Lord Chaitanya with a beard and a mustache? We don't. It's not our standard. But we're watering down our standard. And to me, it's kind of dangerous, right? We want to be careful in our own habits and in our temples that we don't water down and lose. What happens when you water something down too much? You lose the essence. So we don't want our cooks for our deities to be cooking for themselves and offering and then taking it all for themselves or whatever. We don't want our standard to be beards and mustaches, short dresses. We don't want that. Otherwise, we lose the essence of our austerity. And that's so important because we're hearing right here. That's the way to become detached and to become pure devotees. We want to become pure devotees. That's our goal. Otherwise, I don't want to say it's a farce. But we don't want to lose what Prabhupada has given us. So this section, we see Prabhupada is showing and urging devotees to become very rigid in their devotional service, to live an austere life like he did. He was steady, very steady in his lifestyle, always rising early, translating through the night, always sober in his demeanor, always very focused, always very grave, always pushing on the mission. always sharing with others his pure devotional consciousness, and always giving instructions on how others could get into that transcendental consciousness. There was no lapse of time in his devotion. He was like a pillar of devotion. We want to follow that instruction, follow that example. We want to engage in unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. That satisfies the self. We want our service to the deities, to the temples, in propagating Lord Chaitanya's movement and mission. That's what the great souls have given us, and that's what we need to embrace. Associate with those devotees that have that. That's what makes them special. It's not whether they've been around a long time. It's their devotion that we need, their renunciation, their endeavor in their devotional activities, right? Otherwise, it's something that you can't cheat, right? We can't cheat our way into the spiritual world. We have to be taken out of the cycle of birth and death. If we're cheating ourselves, we're cheating ourselves out of our freedom from the cycle of birth and death. No, you can't cheat Krishna. There's a Christian song, Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. The sound, of course, is about the holy name, but also about the instructions of the pure soul. And if we're fortunate enough to have, by somehow, some divine arrangement, be in the atmosphere of these teachings and this guidance and this direction from these great souls, we want to pick up the example and the instruction. We don't want to be part. Prabhupada said it in the beginning. You're not joining a club. It's not like we're the Hare Krishnas. We eat well. We have a Sunday feast. We're so happy. We get to wear fancy clothes and go and dance with everybody, and everyone can see how beautiful I am and how advanced I am because I dance so nicely. We don't want to be in a club, the Hare Krishna club. It's a serious movement to purify us, to take us back home, really. We want to change our consciousness from doing RT so everyone can see how we move things, the fan, how we wave the chamra, how handsome we are, how beautiful we are. We are so special. We want to change that to Krishna, look at how beautiful he is. I'm so fortunate I'm fanning Krishna. He's so beautiful. That meditation, we need to stay in that mood of devotion and get out of the I, me, and my mood. And this is what the verse in this section is giving to us, a wake-up call, right? So that's what we want. We want to make actual progress in our march. Prabhupada called it the march towards the personality of Godhead in the spiritual world. So all glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and all of his representatives, and also the pure devotees that we are fortunate enough to associate with. We need to pick our association carefully so that we can not be contaminated by unfortunate consciousness. All right, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Anyone awake?
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for this wonderful class, and telling us all about the rules and things that we should follow, and we are trying to maybe putting us back on track. So Mataji, really, that's so nice to hear that about what you said about cooking for Krishna or ourselves. So Maha means Mahaprasad, you meant?
Yeah, Mahaprasad.
Right. Okay. So, like for Ekadashi, so Mataji, like we should, so should we, yes, should we cook Krishna's favorite food? Because I sometimes just cook what's easy for me. And, I don't know, I haven't been doing that. So, and not spend too much time cooking. So,
Yeah, I understand. I also have my little deities in my house, and I cook. I actually I have to say I was kind of distressed myself the other day. I don't eat tofu generally. I try and follow what Prabhupada said to eat, and he did say at one point not to, that soybeans were not offerable or that had too much protein, they shouldn't be eaten. Anyway, everyone eats tofu. I cooked something for my son and I had tofu in it and I had a little tofu left over. I didn't want to throw it out. I don't buy tofu for myself. It's vegetarian. There's just different standards, right? So I made this tofu, but that was the only thing I had. And I offered it and I felt bad because it's not an offering for Krishna. But at the same time, like I cook for what I'm going to eat at home. It's different when you're cooking at home or when you're cooking at the temple for the deities, right? To cook at the temple, you cook for Krishna. When you're cooking at home, you have to eat, you have to be practical. You cook offerable things and you offer what you need to eat to Krishna. That's kind of not exactly what I was saying, but when you're cooking at the temple, you have all facility to cook what Krishna likes, and you should cook what Krishna likes. Unfortunately, people go to the temple to cook and cook with the idea that they're going to eat it and bring a big tiffin. They make the offering. Sometimes even before the offering goes on the altar, they're filling up their tiffin with the leftover food. This is the bad consciousness. So as
yes.
much as possible, we want to cook what Krishna likes. But if we can't, if we're cooking a sabji, not dal rice, halava, puris, and pakuras, we still want to have that consciousness that is for Krishna, right?
Yes, Mataji.
As much as possible. That's what we're developing is devotion.
Right.
But we have to be practical. I understand.
Thank you, Mataji. Very helpful.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much, Dandavat Pranam, for this very practical class. And we always love hearing to your reflections and experiences. My Prabhuji was able to pull up the book that you mentioned. So yeah, it's there, and we are planning to get it from Amazon. And Mataji, one takeaway point for me was you cannot pave your path your way to Krishna. It comes by mercy. We just have to be sincere. Thank you, Mataji.
Right.
Hare Krishna.
Ultimately, you're right. Ultimately, it's up to Krishna. Ultimately, but if we don't fashion our life in the direction given to us by the great souls, if we still are living our life totally in sense gratification and doing some service to Krishna, that may not be exactly what we're aiming at. So we want to be careful of our direction.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. This is one of the very, very, very good lecture I heard, and I wrote it down a lot of points. And I
Thank you.
agree with you so many things I have seen change in last 40 years. I've seen starting now we have a big temple, but things has watered down, as you said.
Right. We want to
Things
be
are changed.
careful.
Yeah, and we have to be
Right.
careful. We changed.
Right.
And all prasadam things, you hit everything, you saw us mirror, you gave us a, wake up call, and your voice was so pure. Every word came, I wrote it down, such a good thing you showing us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You know, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, when they moved into that elaborate temple, remember he said, better we just sell the marble and to print books, because that austerity, instead of developing the consciousness that, wow, look at this room, it's all marble. I want that room. It's closer to the sunrise. And they were fighting over the rooms. And Bhaktisiddhanta was basically disgusted that they're not absorbed in the mission anymore. They've fallen into a material consciousness. So when it comes to the temple, we want to make it as potent as possible. I mean, what else was it that Prabhupada came with? He didn't come with anything fancy. He came with nothing. I ironed Srila Prabhupada's clothes in 1969, and the clothes were full of incense burns. The edges weren't sewn. It was very simple. His desk was a piece of raw plywood with some bricks underneath it. That was Prabhupada's desk, and before that, it was his trunk. But what was it that brought everybody running to Prabhupada and to perform all this austerity to build ISKCON? It was Prabhupada's potency. We don't want to water down our own potency or the potency of the movement. We want to be careful, otherwise we'll lose what we're actually trying to gain. You see, Prabhupada stepped out of his spiritual master's movement because it had become so watered down. And he says that in the Vyas Puja offering, right? He said that, I should have pulled it up. He said that one Vyas Puja offering, they were fighting over marble, and they broke up Bhaktisiddhanta's movement just over material consciousness, material sense gratification. I definitely wouldn't want to be in their shoes, whoever was doing that. Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you again.
Mataji, you're talking about Gaudiya Math?
Yes, Gaudiya Math.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Sad. We don't want ISKCON to end up watered down like the Gaudiya Math, and then splintered off into different groups, and really not good.
So, Mataji, I am sorry if I'm asking you a very personal question. You're welcome not to answer it. But did you see Prabhupada in Samadhi ever?
What do you mean in Samadhi?
I mean,
See him while he was alive
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, he was always in Samadhi.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Sometimes he exhibited certain types of ecstasy. That's true, but Prabhupada was always in Samadhi. When you talked to him, you were elevated to a whole other place. Prabhupada was a very potent devotee. He was able to bring you into his realm of devotion. Otherwise, how do you think he inspired all these young people? It wasn't through words of yay, 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 let's go kind of teamwork. like you do in a grocery store, get your team to do things. He actually, if you can read the book of Vishaka, or you can listen to the audiobook and see how he transformed her. She goes through, it's really nice. It's a very good example of Prabhupada's potency of entering into the heart and the consciousness of the conditioned soul and subtly, slowly changing their consciousness. She talks about the atmosphere of Vrindavan penetrating into her mundane consciousness. She writes very well and she speaks very well. It's Prabhupada was always in samadhi, otherwise, how could he have done what he did? The
Right.
Goswamis were always in samadhi, otherwise, how could they do what they did?
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. The book is called 5 Years, 11 Months, and a Lifetime of
And
Unexpected
a
Love
lifetime, yes, that's it.
by
Thank you.
Vishakha Sakhi. Yeah.
Yes.
Mataji.
And the audiobook is fascinating. You can get it on Audible.
Hare
Very
Krishna,
good.
Mataji.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Very informative class that you had. So I had a question. Recently, there was a North America Presidents and Leadership event. So was some of these topics shared there as well? Because I think it starts with the top down, like seeing Prabhupada, right? That is how he was able to bring in followers with the simplicity and the consciousness and the way to go back to Godhead, right? So as you called out, like it's watering down, right? We have diluted with some of the practices that we have with the prasadam or the dressing. So just curious to learn, right?
Well, I don't know where that meeting took place. I was not part of that meeting.
It was in DC, Mataji.
Oh, it was. So that maybe that's where Jai Krishna went.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
used to be in the management. I used to have a say. I was on the corporate board for many years. And then I got very sick a few years ago and I resigned. And, I'm 78. I'm not really interested in getting into the management anymore of ISKCON or even of New Vrindavan. It's something that you need to be fully absorbed in. You have to know everything, you have to keep up on everything. I'm just not in the physical, mental ability to do that. I'm doing simple things now. So I have no idea. I just know that, I see different things and I know Malati's very adamant about many things that should or shouldn't be done, and she's very vocal about it also. But she's not a GBC anymore. She resigned like last year, but she's still involved. So I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully things are going in a good direction. I'm sure they probably are.
Thank you, Mataji.
Haribol Mataji, thank you so much for a wonderful class. Your class is always like so fascinating, so fascinating. I was like, I feel like just keep on listening for a whole day. It's like, because it's all practical life that you lived, and so I mean, it's. I used to hear this kind of with my grandpa, from my grandpa and grandma, but I mean, it's really nice. The one very good point you brought in is telling enough. It's like, is it going to take us towards actual renunciation? It's really shocking to hear that just by doubting, it is not enough to do just doubting. We have to go with the. It's not the final destination.
Mhm.
That's really really important thing that you said. Very
Yeah,
nice, Mataji. Yeah.
right. Well, I mean, I'm doing it for myself also. I'm motivated. I need to, become more renounced. I'm like a sense gratifier now. I have my own apartment. I
Everybody
have
is
I have
Mataji.
I have shoes. I never had, back in the day we didn't really have shoes. Now I've got like a few different tennis shoes, and then I've got my garden boots, and then I've got my rain shoes, and I've got my winter shoes. Anyway, it was a good time because Prabhupada was on the move and we were running with him. So it didn't really matter. When someone's having a wonderful time, they may have an ache in their leg, but if they're having fun, they're at a party, they're talking to people, they're eating, they forget about their leg. So when Prabhupada was on the move building ISKCON, you forgot about whatever you may be missing, shoes or a plate to eat off of, or anything. You're being given what anyone is cooking. It's not like now. New Vrindavan is like ultimate prasadam place. You go to breakfast and there's like 7 different things. It's all fresh. It's khichdi or upma or poa or pongal or fresh soup and bread. We had a regular diet of farina, suji, with with some sugar and made with water, not with milk, and like 5 or 10 raw chickpeas with cayenne pepper, salt, and black pepper. That was your breakfast.
My God.
It wasn't like you could say, oh, well, give me that watermelon instead of the orange, and I'll take more chutney with the poa. It was like, but nobody really seemed to complain. It was just so potent.
Mataji, actually, you're right. That's why I mean, I think my devotees, like you, are more pious. And for us, it is getting more and more difficult because we are getting more and more entangled now.
Well, we can choose. We can choose.
But I mean, my request is, Mataji, please record all your experiences and share in the audiobooks, please, because it is so rare and so valuable. I think for our generation as well as future generations. It's so this experience is amazing. I mean, it really.
I don't know if I can remember. When I'm talking, it's one thing I can remember certain things, but Prabhupada said we should all write. And I beat my head trying to, what can I write on? What can I write on? I don't know what to write on. But I would like to write something. I mean, just because Prabhupada said we should. It's not like it would be a big seller or anything, but it's for my own gratification, I guess, to do what Prabhupada said. I'm maybe going to attempt it this winter when I'm with my son in California.
Yeah, Mataji, this is really precious. I'm telling you, this experience that you lived and you have with you, it's just priceless, to be honest.
Yeah, it's actually, that's one thing I like to read. I like to read the stories of the devotees, how they met Prabhupada, their experience, like Shamasundar's books, were fascinating. You know, I've always tried to encourage Malati to write, but she won't write. I don't know why.
I mean,
Anyway,
even if not writing, even if you guys you all record your experiences somewhere and share, that would be even better. I mean, writing, I heard it's like you have to have a passion. I mean, Pradita writes it. I don't like writing, but I mean, at least audio for recording it would be easier. I hope so.
yeah, but oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Mataji, for sharing this. Please come more often and share your experiences.
Oh, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam. Thank
Krishna,
you
my
so
Sanskrit scholar lady.
no, Mataji. I just try. So thank you so much, Mataji, for explaining this verse nicely and about your experiences. It was so much austerity you all did, and we are just we are nowhere, Mataji, compared to that austerities and the dedication to Srila Prabhupada and Krishna consciousness. And as Sandeep Prabhu said, yes, I second to him that please we can record your voice and audio, and that is amazing experiences, Mataji. Whenever you talk, you always talk about the share about the new Vrindavan Dham and Radhanath Swami Maharaj, his experiences, your experiences. So those are
Yeah.
priceless, Mataji.
Well, I don't have anything else to give. I mean, I'm not someone who's going to sit and quote from this place and that place and do the Sanskrit and put it all together, how different pastimes took place and different yugas. And it's like, that is definitely not me.
Yeah, we can discuss more on that, Sandeep Prabhu, and then we will come to you. So thank you, Mataji.
All right, Hare Krishna, everybody. I'm going to go up to the temple and make some vases.
Yes,
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother Jayashree. It was really, really wonderful. I
Hare
already in the
Krishna,
reached
Nikunja.
my yes. Please accept my humble obeisances. I
Hare
already reached
Krishna.
my office. Already on the work, but still I could not control myself. Um, so yeah, I like the one point what you mentioned about the prasadam. Dal, rice, sabji, puri, pakoras. So many things Prabhupada has already mentioned that as a prasadam, bhoga, which we offer and then we should eat. So it is really good for one to take away from that, like how to be more sattvic uh, in the eating as well as with your consciousness, bhakti, and you, including all other Prabhupada disciples, being an exemplary for us. So, what I felt today, that was my takeaway. Like we should try to adhere what, what lifestyle or what pains, what struggle, what efforts, what consciousness you had led the life, throughout the life. Because I realize sometimes when it comes to me thinking, sometimes to think about some austerity, then whether I should do or not, that's a question after practicing so much devotional service. That's why second Samarasika, she mentioned, it's very difficult for us at this level, to be, at least try to follow whatever you all practiced and you taught us. Thank you so much for that, actually, because I feel especially very happy when I hear your classes, and when we come to New Vrindavan, we see you watering the flowers, plants. We feel so much happy. Hare Krishna. I would
Thank you, Nikunja. Thank you.
I would recommend Shamarasika. I will speak to her. I had a desire to invite you and Mother um, Malati to our place here and then keep some small programs, few home programs. So we'll see how it works, but we can do that in the winter time also. So I will just talk to our group as well on that. Thank you, Mother Jayashree.
Okay,
Hare
thank you
Krishna.
so much.
That will be very good.
Yeah.
The thing is I'm in California in the winter.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know you. Before you go
I
to
leave in
California, we'll try
December.
to.
December.
Before you
I
go
don't.
there, Mataji, we can work out on that. And also I like the song you said about the Govardhan Puja. Do you have that? That is only song, Mataji, or you have more lines?
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of songs that there was a devotee here named Yamini,
Mm.
Yamini, and she put all these Krishna book verses into song. I don't know if I have the recordings. We used to have them on a cassette player. I don't know where they are. Yeah, there was a whole song. We sing it here at Govardhan Puja.
Okay.
Govardhan Puja, if you neglect Govardhan worship, you will be killed by the snakes on the hill. All the people of Vrindavan, for your good fortune and the fortune of your cows as well, worship Govardhan Hill. There's a number of them.
Mm.
We used to
Very nice.
sing them to our kids.
So sweet, Mataji.
So sweet.
Thank you for singing again. Yeah. If you find the book, then you can sing every time in your class one song.
All right.
Right.
All right, everybody. Thank you so
Thank you so
much for your
much.
association and your opportunity. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Vanchakalpatarvascha krupasindhuvascha
Patitanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Anandakoti Vaishnav.
Jai.
Shri Radha Thakur ki
Jai.
Jai. Thank
Bhagavatam
you.
ki jai,
Thank
Srila
you.
Prabhupada ki jai, Har
Jai.
Grace Devidasi Mataji ki
Jai.
jai,
Jai.
all
Hare
great
Krishna.
Tamil devotees ki
Jai.
jai.
Jai,
Thank you
Jai.
so
Jai.
much.
Hare
Mataji, Hare
Krishna. Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Thank you,
Dandavat,
Mataji.
Pranam.
Mataji.
Dandavad.
Hari
Krishna.
Bol.
We'll
Hari
see you next
Bol.
time.
See
Thank you,
you.
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.